Hello and welcome to Enlightenment. My name is Stephen Sizer, and on Enlightenment we aim to bring you the very best in books, films and other media. Our guest today is the Rev Nadim Nassar, who is the director and co-founder of the Awareness Foundation. Welcome, Nadim.
Thank you.
Today we're going to be discussing a book, Guernica, the biography of a 20th century icon by Gijs van Hensbergen. Where did your interest in painting begin?
Well, I've been always interested in studying paintings. Even part of my theological education, some courses I took were in art. But everything in Beirut during the war was theoretical. So all these wonderful pieces of art I looked at and studied through books and pictures. And I was absolutely, mesmerized by all these masterpieces from the Renaissance up to the modern time.
So you're a Syrian, but you studied in Beirut.
Yes, I'm from Syria, from Latakia. It's a port on the Mediterranean Sea. But I studied during the war in Beirut.
But you're also a painter too.
Well, yes, I am. I try. It's a hobby, and I feel it's very therapeutic to paint. You just forget the world when you are, engaged with the colors and forms and lines. It takes you to another world, really.
Tell us a little bit about the Awareness Foundation. Where does that fit into your ministry?
Well, I founded the Awareness Foundation with an Anglican bishop, Bishop Michael Marshall, in 2003. And it's an educational foundation. And we develop our own materials. We have our own programs to raise the awareness of the people, how to live together with our differences in harmony and in peace. We engage a lot with other faiths, and especially with Islam. And we have our activities, our educational programs and materials. And also we have a branch in the Middle East and in North America.
So why did you choose this book to discuss today?
For my sins. I think I told you that I studied in the war. And I went during my life, Stephen, in 3 major wars. When I was born in 1964, 1967 was the major Arab-Israeli war. And the second war was 1973. And also I went through that in Syria. And then I lived 7 years in a civil war in Lebanon. So a lot of my life was touched and influenced by the violence of war.
Tell us about Guernica. What does the word mean, or where is it?
Guernica is a name of a town, actually, not a city even, a small town. It's 15 miles from Bilbao. It's the north of Spain.
The Basque region.
It's the heart of the Basque region. And it was iconic because the town itself carried the culture, the identity, the spirit of the Basque. And it was very flourishing and wonderful town in the heart of the Basque.
And the name is associated with a painting which we're going to see in a moment. I think it's going to come up behind us.
All right.
This was a painting of Picasso.
Yes, it's an iconic painting. And I want to start with looking at maybe the title, a biography of a 20th century icon.
Because icon is a religious word.
It is, although we use a lot now the word icon to mean some little thing on our screen, computer screen. And we say these are icons. Okay. These apps have symbols. But originally it's a religious form of painting. And by the way, we do not say in the Christian understanding of icons, we paint icons. we say we write icons. Because the image, the icon image in Christianity should not be a picture, a normal picture you look at. Usually when you see a picture like Guernica, you look at it, or you look and see it. In the iconic language, you look through the icon.
It's like a window.
It's like a window. It opens, and you communicate spiritually with the world that the icon represents. So because of that, I love the title, which is very expressive to what Guernica is. Do we look at Guernica as a painting, or do we look through Guernica and see other dimensions, which are human dimensions?
Well, before we look at the book, and in particular the painting, can you tell us a little bit about the context, the political situation of Spain at the time when Picasso was perhaps thinking about this particular work of art he was going to paint?
Picasso was the least interested in politics. He was indulged with his romantic adventures. He was married to Olga, and then he had another mistress called Marie-Thérèse. And then as he was progressing with Guernica, he had another mistress called Dora. So he was the furthest from politics, and he was not involved in any way in politics. He was very ambivalent to politics and what was happening in Europe in the 20s, 30s. In the 30s, as we all know, that the world went into a very, very dark economic period of recession. And then after that, Europe was taken by regimes which evolved into totalitarian regimes.
Extremism.
Extremism, like fascism.
And communism.
And communism. And also Nazis. Nazi Germany started. And the people of Spain voted against the monarchy. And they brought the republic. They thought, naively, that the republic will bring them a good time, democracy and prosperity.
Like the French Revolution?
Something like this. Got rid of the monarchy, and we put all our hope in the republic. The republic came, but actually the republic was a disaster in Spain, because the republic was divided into two, not only rivalry forces, two bitter enemies. On one hand was the fascists, on the other hand was the Republicans. And the two forces, instead of those different political forces to bring enrichment to the political life in Spain, it brought a curse, because they wanted to annihilate each other, really total destruction to the other who is different.
And both sides brought or called for support from outside Spain.
Absolutely. As usual, when the polarization happens inside the country, both look for support, because they don't have enough support inside the country to take over or to obtain victory over the other, as is happening now in Syria.
And many British, American and other Europeans sided with the Republicans.
With Republicans, and others were sided with the fascists, like Germany, Italy, and also the Soviet Union was involved with all that. And all this polarization.
And many of the weapons that ended up being used in the Second World War were kind of field tested in Spain.
Especially the air raids. And the Air Force started a little bit with after the First World War. And it, in the 30s, it was a fashionable thing. Everybody was talking about the next dominion over the world will be who has the bigger and better aeroplanes, because it was new.
And so what place did this town of Guernica play in that conflict?
Nothing. It was only a cultural, peaceful town in the heart of the Basque. And when Franco, General Franco, took over the country and slowly defeating the Republicans, because he was supported by the fascists, he wanted to send a message to the Basque
separatists.
Well, at that time, they were totally against Franco.
So they were Republicans?
Yes, very much. So he was annoyed. So he asked his friends, the Nazis and the fascists in Italy, to send a message, not only to the Basque, to all Spain, that they would never forget. So on the 26th of April, 1937, he sent or brought the fascists and the Nazis aeroplanes and destroyed Guernica. And threw or dropped 5,000 bombs on a town. It's not even a city. And they turned the whole town into ashes.
Into a graveyard.
Yes, and killed over 1,500 people. Some numbers say go up to 2,000 people. That was a disaster and a tragedy. The news, of course, spread like a fire in the hay in Europe about Guernica. And some journalists were even close to Guernica because they were from Europe, because they were covering the Republicans. So they rushed to Guernica and got the news and spread it in Europe. That's how the brutality of the attack spread so fast in all Europe the next day. So Picasso heard the news about Guernica the next day, 27th of April.
And how did he respond to that news?
He was appalled, like all Europe. At that time, parallel to that, Paris was organizing an expo. Expo is a world exhibition showing the world the finest technology, and especially in aeroplanes. So look at the irony, Stephen. They were showing off the wonderful advancement of technological innovations in aeroplanes, and at the same time, the news from Guernica came that through aeroplanes, that disaster took place, the next door neighbor. So the people came to Picasso from the expo and said, look, we want you to make a mural, a big painting, to be the main feature, focus of the pavilion, of the Spanish pavilion. And he was not very keen, actually. But when Guernica happened, he accepted the offer. And he started thinking about, what shall I do? And he stretched a huge canvas, like 3 meter by 7 meter. I mean, it's huge. And started sketching what he wants to put on this vast canvas, white canvas, staring at him.
So Would you like to read a short piece about the painting?
The book says, in Guernica, expressed in the most striking manner, is a world of despair, where death is everywhere. Everywhere is crime, chaos, and desolation, disaster, more violent than lightning, flood, and hurricane. For everything here is hostile, uncomfortable, beyond understanding, whence rise the heart-rending cries of beings dying because of men's cruelty. From Picasso's paintbrush explode phantoms of distress, anguish, terror, pain, massacres, and finally, peace found in death.
Peace found in death. Hold it there. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we can continue our discussion with Nadim Nassar and Picasso's very moving icon, Guernica.
In the world of business, numbers tell truth. Investors seek startups and bankers provide loans. Stocks rise and fall. Traders anticipate shipments and cargo ships unload. But we at Etejah News spin the globe to bring you your weekly dose of business news.
Welcome back to Enlightenment. Our guest today is the Rev Nadim Nassar, and we're considering Jis van Hensbergen's book, Guernica, which is the story of Picasso's famous icon of the town Guernica. Nadim, before the break, you were reading a very moving piece from the book about the painting. What message was Picasso seeking to communicate through it?
Picasso was a pioneer in abstract painting. So when he was asked to explain Guernica, he refused. Of course he refused, because Picasso doesn't want to limit every piece of this fantastic painting into definitions. He wants the painting to be a true icon, a window open for you to a different world than from me. So when I look at it, I see different messages from you. But there are some symbolism that we can universally agree on, but not everything.
I mean, was he expressing emotion, his own emotion in it, or is it dispassionate? Is it clinical?
It is not clinical, although you put your finger on a very good point, Stephen, because the painting is black and white. So usually in the world of art and paintings, the best way to express your emotions is to put colors. So what the challenge he took, Picasso, was to express his deep emotions to his country and what was happening in Spain, not only in
tearing
Guernica.
themselves apart.
Exactly. So the whole country in shapes, forms, and ideas, lines, composition, rather than colors. I want to...
he didn't want people to go and say, what a lovely painting.
No, That's the last thing Picasso wanted
with
us
this
to say.
particular picture.
The figure in the middle, the upper middle part of the painting, the face of the woman out of the window with the stretched arm, with the light, with the lamp. That face, he put originally some red tears. But then at the end, he took it.
He took it away.
And he took it away, took it off, and he decided not to put any color. We have gray, black, and white, the whole painting. So,
does he say in his writings why he chose to reject color?
No. He doesn't explain anything.
He leaves it to
He leaves it to the critiques. And I tell you, the critique was very harsh on Guernica in the beginning.
You mean people didn't like it?
Well, even the artistic people, I mean, the people of professional critique,
they poured scorn on it.
They really smashed it. And one German critic said, this is hatch-badge body parts. A child of 4-year-old can do better.
Because they were expecting him to glory in...
They expected him to be more conventional.
Yes, safe.
And put colors and people screaming and destruction and some realism.
Mm-hmm.
But what did he do? He interpreted the event and put it in a... I saw Guernica. I was in Madrid. And I tell you something, it was an icon.
Mm.
Because I stood in front of it and I felt I was completely lost in the world of Guernica. You stand there, you are mesmerized by every part of this masterpiece.
You said that different people would see different things in the painting, and then you said, but there are some common elements to the painting. What are they? What should most people be looking for in the painting?
First of all, if we start from the right, we see this figure of kneeling and raising the arms, and in the middle of the figure, at the top of the figure, there are flames. You wouldn't see the flames,
no,
but they are flames, but
yes.
but no color, no color. And then you see next to that figure a lady escaping. You see the motion of running from her house, which is
on flames.
In flames. And then I want to look at the horse. You see the center of the painting is a horse, which people differ in interpreting the horse. Some critics, they say the horse represented the dictatorships in Europe at that time, tramping over the lying body. And the lying body is very important, which is the people of Spain and the victims. And we see a dying or dead man or woman, but probably a man. But that was in the first sketches of Guernica, was a warrior. You see like a Greek or a Roman warrior with a helmet before. But then he took all that.
And it's become a civilian.
It was civilian and simple.
The horse seems to have something coming out of its mouth.
Yes, it's this aggression, a tooth.
Yes.
The bite, the brutality, but at the same time, in the middle of the horse, we see this like a diamond shape, black and white, This is a wound in the body of the horse. In the earlier version of Guernica, he put a Pegasus, a horse with wings, leaving the wound, which is a hope, a symbol of hope.
But he took it out.
But then he took it out.
Because there is no hope in Guernica.
Well, no, that's a good question. Well, I'll tell you where the hope, he put it very...
A little hope.
Subtle. If you look at the bottom of the painting, the other hand, there is an arm lying next to the man at the bottom of the painting, and one arm stretched.
Yes.
And with open fingers.
With a flower in his hand.
The flower is the hope.
The hope is.
The hope is still in the dying of the victim.
It's a dead flower.
Well, not to Picasso.
Okay.
Not to Picasso. But the sword is broken.
Yes.
Because he's saying the sword is not
there is no
the
solution.
The sword is not the solution. And the other hand has the stigmata. Maybe the audience don't know. The stigmata is a word given to the wounds of Jesus Christ on the cross. And some people claim to have those wounds
marks,
of the cross,
yes.
or marks, appear on their bodies while they were living.
On holy people.
Holy people like St. Francis of Assisi. We have the stigmata.
Yes.
So, and you see the stigmata on one arm and the flower on one hand and the flower on the other hand. The other hand is closed on
yes.
the flower and the broken sword, but the other hand is open to show us the stigmata.
Is Picasso expressing his faith through this painting? Or is he representing the Spanish people as a whole and the fact that they were deeply religious, even though they were in mortal combat with each other?
Yes, he represented probably not his own faith, but the deep faith of the Spanish people. And especially the lying man was compared to another painting of Jesus Christ coming down from the cross. So, and I want to also point out that if you look at the painting in both
corners,
both sides, it's like a pyramid. So it's like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, there are two lights. First of all, look at the top, which is like a lamp.
Yes.
With like an oval shape.
Yes.
Like a sun. Actually, it's a lamp, and critics say it's an evil eye.
Which you find in Egypt.
Yes.
The concept of the evil eye.
Exactly. But in it, there is a bulb. But why the bulb? The bulb represents technology.
Bringing light.
No, bringing evil.
Bringing evil.
Not light. In every painting in history, light means good. Except in this painting. Here, this light is evil, which reflected the Goya painting of the killing of the Spanish
yes.
people in a figure
yes.
of like a crucified.
It reminds me of Shabra and Shatila, where the Israelis fired flares into the sky to allow the killings to continue.
Exactly. Light is not always a sign of good. So here, but this evil eye could be defeated by the lamp which the arm stretched.
Yes.
The arm stretch is holding.
Yes. Clearly some of the people whom Picasso included in the painting are in agony. They are,
absolutely.
Their mouths are open, they're suffering, they're crying.
The left side, we see the woman holding her child,
baby, yes.
baby
it's very
in
moving.
Agony,
yes.
Total agony.
And the child's head is limp as if...
Yes.
But then the other side of the painting, there is more intention, more purpose in the faces.
Yes, and more expressions.
Yes. Like one of them is bringing the light, perhaps.
Yes, yes. My favorite part of the painting, I'm more optimist than Picasso probably, but this face going out of the
yes.
Window,
yes.
with the arm stretched with the light, and that we saw in a previous painting of Picasso, when a child holding a light and defeating the bull,
yes,
which was coming towards
yes.
it. So the beast is out there, the
yes.
monster is out there, but the light
yes.
can defeat it.
Yes.
So it's still, there is some hope.
Yes.
In Guernica.
I mean, there is. The more I look at it, the more I see that the bull. The ears look like weapons, similar
yes.
to the tongue in the mouth of the horse looks
exactly.
like a weapon.
The bull is an aggressive symbol in the painting. Although, I mean, Picasso went and saw bullfighting from early age. I went and saw bullfighting, I have to admit. But it wasn't a positive...
It wasn't a pleasant experience. No. It's very moving, very moving. Thank you for taking us through.
And this is an incredible painting. Maybe some people will look at it and say, oh, what on earth is he talking about? In some paintings, you need to know
yes.
some of the interpretation
yes.
before you look
you
at
can
it.
See. That's
and then
right.
you let it sink and see how moving and how deep this is. And especially the contrast between good and evil. Still, Picasso was struggling. Well, he took side. Finally, he took side with the Republicans.
Yes.
It was clear.
Yes.
Where Salvador Dali was
yes.
more with fascism.
Yes. His paintings are weird.
Well, I love Salvador Dali, but it's completely different.
Interestingly, all the people are white.
Yes, yes. Because also, this is, for me, it's a hopeful symbol of the clash with the dark.
Yes. And there's light coming in through the window. You can see in the right-hand corner.
Yes, exactly. Even with the flame, you see there is some kind of light coming, and in the whole of the agony, you feel this. It's a representation of the pain of humanity, the suffering of humanity in time of conflicts and war.
I'm not surprised initially many of the critics and those who saw the painting reacted negatively because the way you've described it, it's exposing you to the agony of Guernica. And you know, we like to look away from suffering. And what Picasso is doing is forcing you to look at what's happened.
Yes, and let's remember that Guernica was a prophetic voice, because after a couple of years, the Second World War started.
It was only the precursor to greater suffering. Yes. We're going to take another short break, but do join me, Stephen Sizer, with our guest Nadim Nassar. We're exploring Jis van Hensbergen's book Guernica, the biography of a 20th century icon, and Picasso's very moving icon.
Time. Variable. Event. The only constant variable in life is change. broader perspective. Arguments and counter-arguments on our platform.
Global Insights. The globe on our platform.
Welcome back to Enlightenment. Our guest today is Nadim Nassar, and we're considering Picasso's iconic painting, Guernica, which portrays the suffering of the Spanish Civil War. Nadim, was Picasso a pacifist?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was, because he rejected any form of violence, and he never ever in any word or painting supported war or any aggressive movement.
Do you feel that comes through in the painting?
Absolutely.
The pacifism?
Absolutely. I mean, and that also reflects the whole tendency of the people. I don't believe that a whole people of a country would naturally go towards violence. I do not believe that.
It's interesting, in the introduction to the book, in 1949, which is obviously post the Second World War, Picasso has a very moving quote. When I read it, I thought, yes, for him, his paintbrush is his weapon.
Yes.
Can you read it to us and comment on it?
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful, and Van Hensbergen just really chose the right quote. We artists are indestructible, even in a prison or in concentration camp. I would be almighty in my own world of art, even if I had to paint my pictures with my wet tongue on the dusty floor of my cell.
He's saying my desire, my passion to paint will come through irrespective of where I am. I will communicate.
And I believe people of faith, people who believe in peace, we should believe the same thing, that our message of peace and reconciliation should reach to the people wherever they are, in every form. Fairuz in the Middle East, everybody knows Fairuz, the singer. She is iconic. She is an icon, Fairuz. And in one of the operettes of Fairuz, Asi, her husband, and Mansour, his brother, who wrote and composed the operette, they say, it's a wonderful saying, which reflects that you never know how the will of the people, the power of the people explode. It's exactly like when the water goes underneath the earth. It must find a way to come out yes. in what we call spring.
Yes.
The spring is an explosion.
We tend to think a pacifist is passive.
Yes.
But no. Picasso is aggressive, assertive.
Yes.
Full frontal.
Yes.
In this
passive.
icon.
It doesn't mean I sit and do nothing.
No. It means I refuse to use the same weapons you do.
Exactly. But I have my own weapon. The word, the brush, and if you look at the center of the painting, you see those little lines. He wanted to reflect the power of the media. It's like a newspaper. It's like a collage of newspaper. Because he wants to say the media has a power and has a role in resisting evil.
And bringing an end to
and bringing peace.
So you said that initially the reaction was adverse toward the painting.
Yes.
When did it change, or what shifted to the point where we all go, wow, when we see it? What was the change? Was it the Second World War?
The classical painting, or the classical work. What is a classical work? A classical work is when the work becomes independent from the author or the painter or the maker, and becomes an entity in itself. And in this way, Guernica, after Picasso, it took a course of life on its own, without Picasso. And actually, the rest of his life, he struggled to reach the level of Guernica, and he failed until he died. So he never went back to Spain, and he never saw Guernica going back 1981 to Madrid. So he didn't experience this victory. But the painting itself fought its critiques.
And won.
And won. Because it became, whether the critiques wanted or not, liked it or not,
a symbol of
symbol of pain, of suffering. And when it went to the United States the first time, there was a huge controversy about Guernica. But finally, the people decided. A lady, there was a wonderful.
Read us a piece.
I found it. A woman was looking at Guernica with a child, and she said to the child, overhearing a mother describing to her daughter the effect of photographs of civil war atrocities. A journalist was speaking, was struck by her use of imagery. And she says, the woman, how dreadful all that is. It makes my back tickle, as if a spider had been put down my neck. She's talking about photographs. Then looking at Guernica, she told her child, I don't know what that's mean to be, what that's meant to be, but it gives me a very queer feeling. Queer. It makes me just as if somebody's cutting me in pieces. She's not a critique. She was just a woman looking at this painting.
And she's looking through
the painting,
at the suffering of the people of Guernica.
And she compared Guernica to photographs. So, and Guernica is far from being photographic. It's very accurate.
It's graphic.
It's graphic, but not photographic.
No.
So, the power of this painting is in itself.
Yes. Yes. One of the reasons you were interested in discussing the painting and the book is because of the situation in the Middle East.
Yes.
We see a perpetuation of the same aspirations for freedom, for democracy, for justice, and yet we see the same forces of evil overpowering freedom, suppressing rights. Do you see the painting as having relevance in the Middle East today?
I wish. We are not exposed to Guernica. We don't know Guernica. And I hope that people would be curious enough after they listen to me explaining Guernica, to be curious, just be curious, to see one of the 20th century icons of resistance and symbolic expression of suffering and pain, deep pain in this painting, from flames to crying, to breaking down, to severing the head of the man lying his head is severed completely.
So people should empathize or understand
And yes,
the pain of Guernica.
yes. So in the Middle East, in Syria, Stephen, what is happening the world has not seen since the Second World War.
The number of refugees,
Yes.
the brutality.
The brutality, the amount of people fell and died and were killed brutally. But something was not as obvious at that time is the role of religion. In the Middle East, the twisting of religion is much brutal, much aggressive, much more.
I was going to
than
ask
before.
you, what was the response of the church in Spain to the civil war? Did they side with one side against the other?
The Catholic Church was not all positive. And
The establishment
church, yes,
got behind Franco?
well, they were also worried about their own power. The problem is when we talk about religion in the institutionalized way, or when it is mixed with politics, it becomes corrupt. And one thing I must say...
And religion is used to further
or
a political
abused.
end.
Yes. The corruption of the best is the worst. And the corruption of religion can be devastating.
Because it gives a religious justification for all manner of evil. If I believe God is on my side against you...
Well, who would stop me?
No one will stop me.
No.
God will bless me.
And what is also parallel to Guernica is this polarization. Is the horse, the bull, the victims, the light against light, the evil eye plus the arm stretched as far as possible to defeat and stop the monster. All this is we see today in the Middle East.
Guernica is saying there is no redemption in violence.
Exactly. The redemption is in the light, in the forgiveness, in the reconciliation. And I can't understand, after 3 years, what have we gained in Syria? In the lack of dialogue between those who are fighting. 250,000 people died. I'm not exaggerating with 250, if not more. And all the powers of the world are involved, East and West.
They have their peace.
Yes, their interests in Syria. If you put Guernica as a mirror, you see the Middle East. Because of that, I chose it. I chose it because I have the pain. My country is bleeding. My country is being torn apart, polarized to the extent of annihilation. And that's what we should learn from icons like Guernica.
There's a very moving story in the book about the United Nations.
Oh right, it's actually in the
and the covering of the book of the painting. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, and actually the writer starts the book with this.
It begins
story.
with the end.
Yes, exactly. He reflects the end in the beginning.
So tell us about it.
When Colin Powell went to the United Nations, and he decided the next day he will lead a press conference about to declare the war against Iraq, the invasion to Iraq. The diplomats and the press people noticed that the spot he chose, he didn't notice. The background was a tapestry of Guernica. And everybody felt uncomfortable. They felt almost guilty about it. So
it was like he was taking the side of the fascists against the people.
Well, back to war, back to destruction. You are declaring war
in front of a painting that repudiates war.
Yes, it's the icon of the suffering of
reconciliation.
War. And how can you do that?
So what did they do?
Oh well, the diplomats said to the press and to Colin Powell, don't worry, tomorrow it will be covered. And
so
indeed, it was covered with blue shroud and with some flags, and the whole background scene completely changed. Imagine the power of such painting to disturb diplomats and the foreign secretary and the press, that they felt exposed in front of a painting.
And they had to hide the painting in order to justify going to war again.
Yes. Imagine the power of such
the power
painting.
of the painting.
Yes. And we underestimate the role of art in our world. But actually, one painting can move nations.
Our hope is that people, having watched our program today, will want to investigate Guernica, both the context and look a little bit more intently into this painting, this icon of Picasso. Thank you, Nadim, so much.
Thank you for having me, and let this painting be a call to us to believe more in peacemaking, and that Guernica would call us to be catalysts for peace.
Yes.
That's my message.
Yes.
Be a catalyst for peace, and don't sit and say, I can't do anything.
No.
Every one of us can do something.
Let me read the last paragraph of Jes van Hensbergen's book, Guernica, which sums up all that you've been saying.
Please.
He says, it is still, of course, a moot point as to whether the normalization of Guernica has, in essence, weakened the painting's impact. You know, it's become common. The reaction of the spectators at the Reina Sofia on their first encounter with the painting suggests otherwise. Thousands every day are dumbstruck and mesmerized by the power and the scale of the image as they stare wide-eyed at the painful drama acted out before them. Transfixed, they gaze in reverential contemplation. Guernica's power to shock has, despite the millions of reproductions, never gone away. Its rejection of human barbarity and its cry for liberty and peace remain as insistent today as the day Picasso put down his brush back in 1937.
Absolutely.
Nadim, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We come to the end of this edition of Enlightenment, but do join us next week for our next edition of Enlightenment with me, Stephen Sizer. Goodbye and God bless.